I now recognize Representative Ted Lieu of California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Meeks. Thank you, Secretary McKeown, for your time today. It's been 27 years since we last served together on the Georgetown Law Journal. When I was in the Air Force...
I'm sure you did a lot more work on the Law Journal than I did, because I was going there at night.
Thank you. When I was in the Air Force on active duty, I served on Operation Pacific Haven, where we went in and airlifted thousands of Kurds out of northern Iraq because Saddam Hussein was going to kill them. That was a difficult operation. What the State Department did was amazing in conjunction with the Department of Defense. Not only did you have a plan, you airlifted over 120,000 people in a matter of days. Unbelievable. One of the most amazing airlifts in United States history. Thank you for that. Thank you for the service members, the Department personnel that engaged in that. You exceeded what any plan could have done. It was unbelievable. Now, the gentleman right before me did not give you a lot of time to answer questions, so I'm going to give you some time right now if you want to answer any questions that he may have had that you did not feel like you had the time to answer.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your comment, Congressman Lieu, but I'm happy to address your questions.
Sure. The Doha Agreement of 2020 that was negotiated with the Taliban, which administration negotiated that agreement and signed it?
That was the prior administration.
Okay. And that agreement was very specific. It committed the United States to withdraw all forces from Afghanistan. Is that correct?
That's correct. And
in fact,
the deadline was for May 1.
In fact, on page 1, it says, the United States is committed to withdraw from Afghanistan all military forces of the United States, its allies, and coalition partners. It gets even more specific than that. On page 2, it says, in the first 135 days, the United States, its allies, and coalition will withdraw all their forces from 5 military bases. Did the U.S. do that?
It did.
Yeah. And in fact, this negotiated agreement that the Trump administration signed with the Taliban gets even more specific. It has a very specific date for withdrawal of all forces. It says, that the United States, its allies, and the coalition will withdraw all their forces from the remaining bases in the remaining 9.5 months. That's a very specific date, isn't it?
Yes, and that date was May 1, 2021.
Okay. And as part of that agreement, the Taliban was basically going to stop killing U.S. soldiers and attacking U.S. soldiers. Isn't that right?
That was part of the reciprocal commitment. That's correct.
So I supported the former president when he said he's withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. I supported the current president when he completed the withdrawal. It was the right thing to do because now we're not going to have U.S. service members getting killed each and every year in Afghanistan. We had service members killed each and every year for 20 years in Afghanistan. Thank you to State Department. Thank you for our service members. And we honor those who gave their lives in Afghanistan to try to make the country a better place. Now, I'd like to ask you about assignment restrictions. So I want to thank Chairman Meeks for his leadership on that issue and the State Department for taking action on it. You had earlier said that nearly 60% of the people who had assignment restrictions had them lifted. What raw number approximately would that be?
It's over 1,000.
The fact that so many people had their assignment restrictions lifted does at least suggest to me that this process is somewhat arbitrary. And I'm glad that the State Department is taking a look at it. We have legislation that I've introduced and worked with others to reform their appeals process. I know you're working on that. But I just want to engage with you on the whole intellectual basis for an assignment restriction, because I'm not sure I quite understand it. So let's say you're a State Department employee and you have a family member, an uncle, in St. Petersburg, Russia. And part of these assignment restrictions is geographical. So it says, okay, we're not going to assign you in Russia because the Russians could leverage you because you have an uncle in St. Petersburg. So we put you in Azerbaijan. But Russia could still leverage that familiar relationship of your uncle in St. Petersburg and try to get you to divulge secrets about the U.S.-Azerbaijan relationship or whatever else it is. And as State Department employees rise further higher up, they get access to more secrets. I mean, we're in the 21st century. These countries have interests everywhere. So I'm just trying to understand, what does a geographic limitation even do?
Yeah, you've put your nub on the issue here, Congressman, because somebody could be pressured wherever they are. I think it's the assessment of our professionals in the Diplomatic Security Bureau that in a particular country where an assignment restriction has been placed, that's the place where an officer may be the most vulnerable to pressure on him or her or their family to divulge classified information. So that's the thinking behind it.
Gentleman's time has expired.